As the story of Vic Mignogna and the sexual allegations against him continue, it looks like members of the hashtag KickVic movement, in particular, Ron Toye, went on to berate and reply to many of the fans that stand with Vic Mignogna in this scenario, in having to not only question their authority and legal intelligence when it comes down to Vic Mignogna and what he could potentially do with the law firm that he is currently working with, but alongside that, we are going to be taking a look at some of the replies that Ron Toye had made for those who do stand with Vic Mignogna, and how he personally feels on one of the representatives having to stand up for Vic Mignogna in this lawsuit. As I do want to go ahead and plug a few things before we begin. If of course you guys are new to this channel and want to keep up to date with the entirety of the Vic Mignogna situation involving Monica Rial, Ron Toye, Shane Holmberg, Jamie Marchi, and many others, then be sure to go ahead and smash that subscribe button, slap a like down below if you guys are in favor of Vic Mignogna in this scenario, and be sure to spread the message by sharing this video out on all social media platforms, including Twitter and Facebook. And if you guys are unaware of my primary channel, Unreal Gaming, then be sure to go ahead and subscribe to that channel, as we are going to be covering additional Dragon Ball and anime content alongside gaming and live streams for your comfort and enjoyment following the events of the entire Vic Mignogna situation. And don't forget to follow me at Twitter at Unreal Gaming if you guys have any articles and or pictures to tag me in the entirety of the Vic Mignogna versus the sexual allegations against him. As one of the first screenshots I want to go ahead and showcase here is a tweet reply that Ron Toye had made on February 28th, as Ron Toye went on to state, and I quote, "No, he isn't. You trolls think him lawyering up was an offensive move. Sorry, it was defensive. He knows the skeletons he has hidden that are coming back to haunt him." Smiley face. As Ty Beard, who is an actual lawyer and representative of Vic Mignogna, made his Twitter account and went on to reply to Ron Toye by having to state, and I quote, "We will be in touch," as Nick Riccetta went on to confirm this on his live stream himself. So this is the actual Ty Beard who is going to be representing Vic Mignogna in this sexual allegations case against him. However, Ron Toye went on to respond to Ty Beard extremely condescendingly, as Ron went on to state, and I quote, "Sounds good to me," smiley face. As Ron continues, "I tried calling and left a message," smiley face. "We will be in touch." Now, the recent phone number that he has listed goes on to list the phone call having to be made at 7:07 a.m., which of course is in Texas. As a user by the name of Danny went on to respond to Ron by having to state, and I quote, "He called at 7 a.m. on a Saturday. Where on Google he got the number from? It says that they are closed on weekends and don't open until 8 on weekdays. Nice try though." As Ron went on later that day to go on ahead and post more Twitter responses, as Ron goes on to state, and I quote, "Did you miss the fact that he tweeted me at 7 p.m. on a Friday when his office was closed? He has a thing called a voicemail. I am not intimidated, and it's laughable that a partner at a law firm would post that comment," smiley face. "He knows how to reach me, but he is trying a lame PR move," smiley face. As a user by the name of Ryan went on to respond to Ron and having to state, "Seriously?" As Ron goes on to reply, "Yes. If he really wanted to reach out, he would have called. Everyone has been saying handle this like a professional, right? Well, his legal team should be the shining example, right? Well, him tweeting versus calling, is that professional?" Well, surprisingly enough, I do agree with Ron, as he went on to state, and I quote, "Everyone has been saying handle this like a professional, right? Well, for that, I do agree. And this entire situation could have been handled outside of Twitter and outside of the public domain if this went along and being handled privately. None of this had to involve the public at all if this was done the right way. So yes, from the beginning, every single person has been saying to handle this professionally. But Ron, you sir, have not been handling this professionally at all. And I do say, if there's anything professional about what's been going on so far, I think the only professional thing is Ron being a professional troll in trolling people that are challenging his stance in why he wants to take down Vic Mignogna so bad, and simply having to ask questions. Questions should not be censored. questions are something that should be answered depending on the context of the question, of course. No harassment, no violence, simply having to challenge one's intellectual knowledge and where they stand in a particular situation. However, Ron in this case has been going about things in a very condescending way, as Wakita Law himself went on to post a very interesting tweet, as he went on to state, and I quote, "Holy crap, someone get a wellness check on Ron Toye's stats." As of course retweeting Ron Beard's tweet, Jesse James went on to reply to Nick and having to state, and I quote, "All of you should have listened." As Ron went on to respond and having to state, and I quote, "Explain why I should be afraid? Go ahead, YouTube lawyer. What is the worst that could happen to me? Wink face. Again, I know the answer, but it all hinges on one thing, and I will let you explain that. So if that one thing is in my favor, then what happens then? Smiley face. Go ahead, I will wait. Smiley face. A lot of smiley faces in this response. Again, coming off very condescending, especially telling this individual, and I quote, "Go ahead, YouTube lawyer," which again, I don't understand this notion of having to demonize anyone who is a YouTuber and covering this news from a objective and or subjective kind of stance. You do have lots of people that even support Monica Rial, but what about them, right? He's not going to go on ahead and call them out because they are in his favor. However, for those that do challenge Ron on an intellectual level, on a law level to where they question him on the ethics of law, he goes on to mock them and having to state, well, what's a YouTube lawyer going to tell me, right? So that's very condescending, and I think that really what's driving Ron into the ground is Twitter, and I think that he's only burying himself. But it doesn't end there, as of course another individual that goes by the name of Lauren went on to respond to Nick and having to state, and I quote, "Ty, now that I have your attention, please take a seat." As Ron went on to reply to Lauren and having to state, and I quote, "Ha ha ha, if he really wanted my attention, don't you think he would have called prior to tweeting, that is? Think about it," which of course now Ron is begging the question, well, how come he didn't call me? Well, how do we know that he did not call you? I mean, it's very shady at this point that Ron is coming off very condescending and very disingenuous on his own remarks in this situation, but I do think that ultimately enough, this will in some way, shape, or form come back and biting Ron in the butt, as Ron further went along ahead to respond to Ty over on Twitter, as he went on to state, and I quote, "Sounds good to me, I will reach you on Monday, winky face." As a user by the name of Danny went on to respond to Ron and having to state, and I quote, "I like how you call them when Google clearly states that they are closed on weekends. Besides, their workday doesn't start until 8 AM during the week anyway. I would do what the YouTube lawyer Nick said to do, which is have your lawyer call Ty Beard, assuming if you have one." As Ron went on to reply to Danny and having to state, and I quote, "Also, I don't listen to YouTube lawyers, especially ones who practice in a completely different state than the one I live in." Again, emphasizing on YouTube lawyers and having to make the insinuation that this individual, Nick, doesn't know what he's talking about, or he's lacking knowledge in the law department, being that he studies and practices law in a different state, which again, doesn't really matter because laws are laws. And the way Ron is coming off here is very disingenuous because Ron is basically going about this situation in such a way to where he feels untouchable, but I think that in this particular situation, Ron really needs to begin to choose his words very carefully, as he goes on to respond to an individual named Zach on Twitter and having to state, and I quote, "He was dumb enough to confess a few times in writing and on a video, smiley face. His lawyer will have a hard time with that. Plus, we have a few aces up our sleeves. Smiley face," which again, Ron makes the insinuation that VIC Mignogna is basically screwed because they do have a few aces up their sleeves and they're willing to use that against Vic during court once they end up inevitably going. As of course it continues, a user by the name of GokuRed24 goes on to tweet at Ron by having to state, and I quote, "No, I don't think she cheated on Ron, but it's most likely jealousy," referencing as to why Ron dislikes VIC Mignogna, as Ron goes on to reply, and I quote, quotes, "Not at all. I make more money than him and I am not a predator, so nothing to do with jealousy, smiley face." As another user responds to Ron by having to state, and I quote, "More money? Sure, but tell me this, how many fans do you have? How many people knew your name before all of this went down?" And again, Ron is coming off very condescending in having to make claims that he makes more money than VIC Mignogna. How is that even relevant to the overall context in which Ron and said party are going against VIC Mignogna for? It doesn't make any sense. Money in this matter doesn't connect to the accusations made against VIC Mignogna in having to come off very condescendingly and stating, "I make more money and thus I'm important and or more important than VIC Mignogna." So again, this entire debacle is a mess, but I want to get your thoughts in the comment section below. How do you guys personally feel about Ron Toye and how he accuses VIC Mignogna and his fans of just being complete idiots and coming off as very condescending in his responses? Let me know your thoughts down below, guys. Thank you all so much for watching, everybody. Once more, if you guys are new to this channel, don't forget to go ahead and smash that subscribe button, turn on all notifications, slap a like down below, and I'll be seeing each and every single one of you guys down in the comment section below. Have a great day, everybody. Peace!